Trapped by the belief that I'm not good enough, bound by the limitations and the lies that consumed my world, this was me. It wasn't until I took the biggest leap in my life to know and trust the power within. And it was at that moment I made a choice. My past will not define me anymore. Hello, I am Teri Cardula, and I know I am not alone in this. Over the years, I have found that the number one mistake that we make is that we get in the way of our own success story. Yes, I said it. On this show, together we'll tackle limiting beliefs, self-sabotage, getting stuck, fear, doubt, overwhelm, and the imposter syndrome. Join us on this journey designed to transport you beyond your limitations to a world where anything is possible. This is Talking with Teri. And welcome back to Talking with Teri, where we have powerful conversations to transform your life and your business. And our guest today, Dr. Lunide Lewis. Did I do it right?
You got it.
The pressure I put on myself with saying amazing people's names. Anyways, she is a habit psychologist, best-selling author, professor, and host of the best morning routine ever. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Teri. I'm looking forward to our chat today.
Yeah. So bring us up to speed. How did you get to be where you're at today? Like, just kind of fill us in on the backstory here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I'm from a third world country. I grew up in Haiti and migrated here at a very young age, looking for the American dream. That's what my parents wanted for me. And so when I got here, it was a total shock. Not only the snow, we were talking about weather earlier, total shock for the snow that hit me when I hit JFK back in 1995. But it was coming to America didn't mean you automatically make it. You automatically get that success. There was some work that went into it. And so what I was taught by immigrant parents is to go to school, get good grades, get a job, and then you will have made it. Well, I followed that path and I fell really fast on my face because I realized it wasn't my calling. It wasn't satisfying. It wasn't satisfactory. And that started to impact my health. And then I realized there has to be a different way. How do I find this purpose-driven life? How do I wake up with joy on a daily basis? And so I started looking at what, Tony Robbins and Oprah Winfrey were doing that were free because, didn't have the capital, but I realized they were creatures of habit. They woke up at the same time every day to do the same things, either meditation or working out. And I thought, okay, well, I can definitely give this a shot because not only do I want to get healthier, but I need to find my purpose. I need to find a way to add value that is meaningful for me, and I'm making a greater impact. And the 9 to 5 was not it. And so I started following their steps. I started very small, very slow, which we'll talk about how to build effective habits, and started seeing dramatic difference in my life. And that started the ball rolling. And then that was a domino effect of, I need to tell people about this. I need to start a podcast. And then Best Morning Routine Ever was born. And subsequently, an app followed with it. And I am here today just enjoying the process.
I love this. Okay. So what has been, I guess I love, hearing about the overcomer story. So what has been your biggest challenge or barrier or block that you've had to overcome in this journey?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So I studied psychology because I needed to heal myself.
Hmm.
Coming into America, my mom was a single parent, and she got married very early on, and my sister and I both got molested at 10, 11 years old, and that dramatically changes your worldview as a young girl on what's your value. It changes that on who you are, what you can accomplish. And that really puts a damper on my ability to shine. I shied away. Literally, I didn't speak very much. I didn't think I was beautiful. I didn't think I have what it takes, because that stuff, it really nags at your soul and your confidence in who you are as a person. And so that has been a challenge for me for years. Yeah, it happened at 10 years old. And I don't think I dealt with it until I was 30. So it's been a long
I
life
appreciate,
challenge.
yeah, I appreciate your vulnerability and sharing that because as we were talking offline, my background was a therapist, and I was a therapist for, gosh, 25 years. And, we would get referrals for all sorts of, depression, anxiety, but here's the thing, one of the biggest referrals that we got, and oftentimes like when the doctors, referred for depression and anxiety, almost always, there was some abuse history, of some sort, whether that was sexual abuse, physical abuse, witnessing domestic violence,
Verbal.
it doesn't matter. It was some sort of abuse that this person went through very early on. And you're absolutely right. I mean, the work that you do and the work that, I do is very similar in the sense that we understand the brain, we understand what that happens, but it has a profound impact. And, we'd like to say, oh, our past doesn't impact us, but it truly impacts our brain, and it
Yeah.
truly impacts the neural pathways of our brain. And so when we start to, I mean, it's just it opens up a whole ball of wax, as far as like, that piece of like, okay, do I, that self-doubt, that self-confidence, the self-esteem is all impacted on a very, very early age. And our brain is always looking for the answer. So our brain is always looking for the why. Our brains are always looking for, am I good enough? Why did this happen to me? And there's just, it really just makes a really complex situation.
Yeah.
And so I know for a fact that a lot of our listeners have experienced, what you've shared. And I know for a fact that a lot of them, and, including myself, I didn't have an easy upbringing either. And I've shared this, before on here, my own abuse history, and how that impacted me, and the choices I made, and the work, right? The work that, that we got to go through, and now looking back, I can actually say it was a gift. But I wouldn't have said that any earlier than, maybe 20 years ago. But I think that's really profound. And I think that does have a direct impact on
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah. Yeah, I like that you mentioned about the brain and how the coping mechanism. Because when the trauma is experienced, the brain realizes it's unfamiliar and it should not have happened. So it builds a coping mechanism. It builds a wall, and your brain is rewired. So now it becomes programmed to be overly sensitive, overly cautious, and then that's just your brain saying, "I'm going to protect you now." And
Yeah.
this is how we're going to cope. And it moves that behavior, that feeling to the subconscious mind, because we're operating out of this space 95% of the time during the day.
Yeah.
So we're programmed, literally programmed, to operate out of that space. And so when you become jittery and or you're afraid, the trauma and depression, you're prone to all that, it's because you're not operating out of the conscious mind, which is the 5%. It's because it's the background, it's the programming that's been instilled in you from that trauma. And everyone has some type of trauma. As you said, it doesn't have to be physical, sexual, it doesn't have to be verbal, but some type of trauma. Somebody told you no, and you translated this, you correlated this as a 2-year-old, like, I don't deserve this,
Yeah.
I'm not enough. And so we grow up with these, what I call ants, automatic negative thoughts that run rancid in our subconscious mind, and that are directing our behavior in the real world, in the reality, because we're on autopilot. So the brain is designed this way to protect us. And so we say, thank you, magnificent brain, for doing that, for protecting me and helping me survive, right? The brain is just here to show that to ensure you survive. And it does that. But a lot of us don't realize that's what's happening. We're just surviving. We're not thriving.
Yeah.
We're
And
not.
when those patterns are going on, and, so often we go through life with those programming, with not taking, not doing the work, because maybe we're not conscious of them yet. And I always tell people, like, I do believe that, there's things that happen, that, and we create some of the coping skills to help us, but at some point those coping skills no longer serve us. And that's when we rub up against it. We're like, wait, this isn't working anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
now I got to take a deeper look. And as soon as that happens, that's when
our lives can get really chaotic and out of control because what we've been used to doing and practicing those coping skills are no longer effective. That's when I feel like the breakthrough happens. That's when I feel like the conscious maybe is telling us, okay, it's time to do the work now. You're old enough, you're wise enough, you've experienced enough. Now it's time to start doing the work. And that's usually what trips the kind of the transformational process for a lot of people. It's like, okay, I can't keep doing what I've been doing, trying to get the different results. And now I'm spinning. And so
Yeah.
that spinning is usually what triggers that. And then it's like, okay, let's do the deeper work. And oftentimes it comes back, as you know, it's addressing all of the stories and the beliefs and I would say most of the time it's been put there by somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't us putting it there initially. It was our teachers, it was our colleagues, it was our friends, it was our family members, it was strangers that we've never met, like people putting and us buying into it. I remember, oh gosh, when I was writing my book, I was going at this coffee shop and I was writing and stuff, and I remember at this table, and there was a husband or a dad, an older brother, and a younger daughter. And I remember this conversation that was happening, and they just destroyed this girl. The dad and the brother, so the son, really attacked the daughter. And I just saw her right there in that moment lose shine. Like her sparkle was, I was just like, oh, that's how easy it can happen. It can be literally a conversation. They were in public. They didn't see any harm in it. But I ended up having to like say something. And I went over to the girl before I left and I just said, I want you to know that I see you and I think you're brilliant. And it was nothing. I didn't address what was said or anything, but I just needed that reassurance really quickly. Like, you know what, you are more brilliant than right? Like, because like those moments is what can happen in just a split, in a second.
Yeah.
And it can really have an impact.
And that's the scary part because it's unintentional a lot of times. Our families, our school teachers, our friends in the schoolyard don't even know they're doing it. And then like you saw the shine leaving the girl's body, that's what happens. And she may not even realize how it could have impacted her 10, 20 years down the line. That's how quick, as you say, it can kick in. And so I think a lot of us, we don't hold any grudges with our parents because they're doing the best that they can. They're only going as far as they know, and so they don't intentionally want to destroy you. And so that's where the art of forgiveness kicks in and understanding that. But when you mentioned earlier, it's that dramatic moment when you realize what got you here won't get you there. That's when the work began. That's precisely what happened to me. It was like I was studying psychology. I got my PhD and I've been doing the work. And I realized this is not working because this is just covering the surface. Because I still wake up angry. I still wake up frustrated. And, I can be cool for a little bit and then I'm triggered and I succumb to drinking. I mean, it was just the spiral of just negativity that kept going, this cycle. And I was like, this is not working. And so that's when I started diving into the habitual mind. That's when I started diving into the neural pathways, the neurology that takes place when the brain actually changes and how we can actually take advantage, how we can hack the brain. And so that's some of the stuff I want to share with you and the audience.
Let's dive into this because literally I had someone just a few weeks ago talking about habits, and we didn't go into it really juicy like I want to do it with you. But so let's talk about that. Let's unpack, the power of our brains, in connection with the power of habits.
Yeah. So we first create our habits and then our habits create us. Remember, I told you about the 95%, the subconscious mind that we live in. That's our programming. That's our default. That's where we want to design and build our habits. And that's why habits take so much longer to build, because once they're in place, you're getting up without even you knowing it. Your eyes are popping open at 5, 6 a.m. because you now have a habit to wake up early and spend a little more time self-care with yourself in the morning. So the neural pathways that takes place with the brain is it actually allows you the ability to replace your old habits with more effective habits. And so, how you do that, one of the easiest and fastest ways to habit stack. Let's say you want to start reading more and you are going for a walk or you're doing dishes. So while you're doing dishes, you would pile on top of that an audiobook or listening to a podcast just so that you are feeding your mind. That's habit stacking. You're not doing anything different. You're not stopping your regular routine. You're just tagging on top of it something that you would like to do, and that will eventually create its own neural pathway, its own habit loop
Yeah.
per se.
Yeah, I always tell people if you're going to create a new habit, you have to pair it with
Yeah,
something that you're already doing. Like if you're if most people brush their teeth, so is there something that you can pair, that habit, like you're talking about the habit stacking with that habit, it doesn't, there's, like you said, like there's these great hacks where you don't have to think much about it because you
yeah.
already have habits built in. How can we take advantage of that already neural pathway that's been created and then just almost kind of trick the brain and stick another one with it.
Yeah, I want to take it a step back, Terry, because you can tell yourself you're beautiful till you're blue in the face. But if you don't feel it, if you haven't changed the neural pathway, the programming that's going up here in the mind, then it will not feel right. You will almost feel like an imposter,
Yeah,
like you're lying to yourself.
and you can actually do, I feel like you can do the reverse, you can do more damage, by
Absolutely.
doing that because it's going to confirm it. Yeah.
So before you even begin with any new habit, we do have to change that programming. And the way we do that, I call it habit rewiring. And so we go in talking about the trauma that one experienced or the old ants, the nagging ants that are looming around. We have to go in and replace them because you can't break a habit. You cannot stop doing something because when we first started, Terry, I told you habits are created to solve our problems.
Yeah.
Your stress, you drink wine. It's solving a problem. It's relieving you of that stress. Okay. Your fatigue, you want to play video games. It kind of dumb down your mind. Whatever it may be, habits are designed in your favor, good or bad. They're designed to solve your problem. So what must be done is actually replacing those habits with more effective behaviors, with more effective actions. So the same thing goes with reprogramming and removing those ants, negative ants. You can't remove them, you have to replace them. So with habit rewiring, we actually go into the subconscious mind using hypnotherapy is one tool. There's other ones that we do use, but to give everyone an understanding, we actually put you in a trance. You in a trance when you are sometimes you're driving home and you don't even know how you got there, right? That's you on autopilot.
Yeah.
Subconscious mind puts you there. You're in a trance when you're watching a really good movie in a dark room filled with like 20 other people, and they're oblivious to you. That's you in a trance. Movies put you in a trance. Now, when we get you to that relaxation state, the alpha state, that's what it's called. You're in that state every morning. The minute that you wake up, you have a 20-minute to an hour window where you are in that state. You're half awake, but the subconscious mind is super alert, super receptive to what you say, what you hear, what you do within that first hour. That's why the best morning routine ever is invented, to capitalize on that time frame, this alpha chemical reaction that's already happening in your brain. So we put you in this trance, we actually go in and actually discover, like investigators, when and how and where did this happen that gave you the belief that you're not good enough, that gave you the belief that you don't deserve the best,
Yeah.
that give you that belief that you attract only toxic people, or you can't get that raise, you can't start that business. Where did it begin? So we go in collectively, we find where it started, and then we have to pluck it out. We have to pluck it out, and the way we do that is replacing it with more positive and affirming declarations about yourself, about who you are. And a lot of times we have to do some forgiving while we're in there. This is
Yeah.
an hour and a half session, and
Yeah.
you come out, you're in tears, you're forgiving, you're healing, you're waking. By the time you wake up, you're a whole new person because you've had gone in, identify what the root cause of the issue is, because now we're going to rewire the neural pathway, the neurons that are shooting. That connection is going to be disconnected, and a new one is going to be put in place of that. And
Yes.
so once we do that, the healing takes place, the healing begins. And a lot of times it's so subtle, it's so angelic, because it's a matter of almost taking this young you in your arms and says, I'm going to take you from here, I'm going to take you home with me, and when we get there, I'm going to show you all that you have. You don't have to depend on anyone anymore. You are independent. You have what it takes. Yeah, look at your beautiful home. Look at your kids. Look at your husband. Look at your wife. Look at all that you've accomplished despite of this experience, of this trauma. You have what it takes. And a lot of times we sit in that moment, Teri, and actually just have a dialogue with this younger version of ourselves. And a lot of times we didn't hear, I love you. You are worthy. I'm so glad you are my child. We don't get to experience that as a child, and because that's our only program, that's the only thing we've heard. So we grow up like we don't deserve love. We're not lovable. We can't be accepted. We can't have anything that we want. But when we go in, we actually reverse that. This child, you come out feeling like a badass.
That's right.
Feeling so powerful because you've done disconnected a pattern.
Yes.
A thought pattern that's been in place for years. And that was the healing that I underwent. That's the healing I put my clients through with habit rewiring, because that's the only way. We were talking about, because we're both psychologists. We say, therapy sometimes do more damage. Talk therapy do more damage, and it actually does the healing. And so we can't just keep revisiting the past. We can't over and over keep reliving the past, because you're going to trigger someone emotionally.
Yeah.
And so you have to go in and uproot it, eradicate it, and then build from there.
I agree with you. You are speaking my language. Like, we got to transform and eliminate and really unpack that stuff that's not serving us before we can create new. Like, it just doesn't, we can't take that stuff into the new, and it is profound. And some of the results that I've seen, that it is absolutely profound. Like, it's mind boggling to me how quickly it can happen. It doesn't have to take years and years and years. It can be a quick and easy and really powerful, profound experience.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, we're getting ready to wrap up here, but so much juiciness that you're sharing with us. What can you leave the listeners with some tools or strategies that they can leave with today, that they can start implementing today to start a new habit, a new way of living?
Yeah, absolutely. I love to say, and a lot of the entrepreneurs that come on my show say, the morning routine starts the night before. So I'm going to give you a tip on how to start the night before so that you can wake up feeling brand new tomorrow. So talking about the capitalizing on this hour where we're in alpha state. When a lot of us nowadays, we wake up, we're checking our phones, we're checking our emails, busy moms, busy entrepreneurs, we're checking out us Instagram, IG. That's the worst thing you can do, because now you've actually relinquished your agenda to the rest of the world. You let everyone in before you actually took care of yourself. And so one thing that you can do is maximize that hour in the morning when you wake up. And I know people are going to think, I can't wake up early. I don't wake up early. It's not in my nature. This is not my thing. I understand that. Some people are more dispositioned to waking up early than others, because everybody, literally, quote unquote, body is different. Your chronotype is different. Your biological clock is different. Your stress level is different. Your home life is different. And all that's going to impact when you wake up, when you go to sleep, so you can actually be your best self. So what I suggest is taking a chronotype test to find out when is the best time to go to bed and when is the best time to wake up in the morning, as it pertains to you specifically.
Yeah.
To you individually, because I say this because you want to also capitalize on the chemical reaction that's happening between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. because we're we're driven by the sunset and the sunrise, right? So melatonin starts rising in our bodies around that time, 10 o'clock, and it's at its peak at those hours, and you start losing it at 2 a.m. because sun is starting to rise. And so a lot of people, there's 4 different chronotypes. There's the lion, there's the bear, the dolphin, and there is a wolf. The lion is the earliest to rise at about 5:30, and then follows the others with 6:30, 7 o'clock. So you're not waking up super early. You just got to find out which one you are so that you can actually capitalize on that time. So I have the chronotype test on my website, Best Morning Routine Ever podcast. So if you want to take it to actually know which one you are, that will be very helpful for you to know your body type. So you're not going against the grain. You can start working with your own body to make that change. So I like to say the morning routine starts the night before, and it starts knowing when to actually recharge. Because if you're fatigued and tired and you're up till midnight, then it's going to be hard for you to wake up in the morning and own your day.
Yeah. I love this. So go check out, do this test. Just as I describe this, I'm guessing that I'm the dolphin because I'm a night owl and a morning person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that connects with the dolphin because I know the dolphin. Yeah. Anyways, but go take the test, check it out. That's so good. And that's so yummy to like really know what works for you, because if you're going with the grain, so much easier and so much more in alignment than fighting against it. So I know that we have to wrap up here, but where can people find more about you?
Yes, absolutely. So all things Best Morning Routine Ever. So wherever you're listening to this podcast, I do have one called the Best Morning Routine Ever. And we have episodes that come out twice a week. And we talk to entrepreneurs like Teri and fascinating people that come on, talk about their journey, their business, and how their morning routine and how their habits are contributing to that success. So it's pretty phenomenal. And all my social media handles are Best Morning Routine.
I love it. Thank you so much for just being the overcomer that you are and choosing to live an extraordinary life. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am so grateful that you joined me for this episode. If you've enjoyed this, then there's just one thing that I would like you to do. Click to subscribe and leave me a rating and review. As my way to thank you, let's connect for a free consultation. Just reach out to me at talkingwithteri, that's TERI.com, to book your time.